Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the preview for the 2023 Mexico City Grand Prix. Yes, it is race week again, and get used to it because this is the second of 3 races in a row. And okay, yeah, it's easy for me to say sat at home watching on TV, but I do love a triple header of F1 races. And do you know what? I really do like this track as well. As is always the case though, lots to get through in this video, so let's just get straight on with it, starting with a look at the circuit and all the usual stats that follow. So last weekend, F1 was in Austin for the United States Grand Prix, where Max Verstappen took his 50th career victory, and thanks to the disqualification of Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc, where Logan Sargent picked up his first ever F1 point. But now it is on to Mexico City for the 19th race of the season. Not many left now. A lap of the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez is 4.304 kilometers long, or 2.67 miles if you prefer, and is made up of 17 corners with a race lap record of a 1:17.774 set by Valtteri Bottas in 2021. And on Sunday, we are set to see 71 racing laps. There will be 3 DRS zones this weekend to help drivers hopefully get some overtaking done. One zone runs down the start-finish straight, with another just after that between turns 3 and 4. Those 2 zones, by the way, do share a detection point, which is just before turn 15. And the third zone is between 11 and 12 with its own detection point before turn 10. Last year, Max Verstappen won the race from pole position, leading home Lewis Hamilton and Sergio Perez. And qualifying on Saturday could be really interesting because, and I've only just realised this when researching this preview, since F1 returned to Mexico in 2015, we've had 7 races and 7 different pole sitters. Alright, fine, that doesn't necessarily mean it could be anyone's game in qualifying, but wouldn't it be great to see someone become different pole sitter number 8 on Saturday? Oh, and 8 is also the number of tyres in the Pirelli range if we include the Inters and the wets. Oh yes, that is right, it is tyre talk time once again. Fun fact, not really fun, but it's kind of a fact. That wasn't actually the segue for this week originally, it just happened by accident thanks to that stat, so happy first ever accidental tyre talk segue, I suppose. Anyway, the compounds available for this weekend are the softest in that Pirelli range, and so they are the hard C3, the medium C4, and the soft C5. Interestingly enough, that's a step softer than last year, and honestly, given it was a fairly comfortable one-stopper across the majority of the field in 2022, I'm pleased about that, with Pirelli explaining that the softer compound should open the door to teams moving towards a multi-stop strategy. Now, this circuit isn't all that demanding on the tyres in terms of wear, although graining tends to be a big issue thanks to the high altitude and reduced aerodynamic effect, which results in cars sliding more than at some other tracks. The high altitude also means, despite the long straights, we'll see teams running high downforce setups this weekend because the thin air reduces downforce. So it's a case of Monaco-like rear wings rather than Monza rear wings, but with close to Monza top speeds. Back to strategy, and as already touched on, last year's winning strategy was a one-stop with Max Verstappen starting on a set of used softs before switching to a set of new mediums on lap 25, which he ran to the end of the race. In fact, from the top 14 finishers, only George Russell pitted more than once, and that was to stick a set of softs on right at the end to go for the fastest lap. Last year's fastest pit stop was carried out by McLaren with a 1.98 second stop for Daniel Ricciardo, and the total pit lane lost time across the field in 2022 was largely between 22 and 24 seconds. For those interested, safety cars of some kind have been a feature since the track returned to the calendar, with a full safety car deployed at least once at each of the races in 2015, 16 and 21, with virtual safety cars featuring in the races in 2017, 18 and 19. Another factor in strategy will, as you'd expect, be the weather, but as I sit here and record this on Wednesday afternoon, things look set to be warm and dry. The forecast does show there is rain around on Thursday night and Friday morning, but it's not expected to affect any running on Friday, with both practice sessions currently expected to be dry with highs of 22 and 24 degrees for FP1 and FP2 respectively. Saturday should also be dry with highs of 23 degrees for the start of qualifying, and on Sunday temperatures are expected to be around 24 degrees in time for lights out, with no real threat of any rain falling. As always, that is how things stand right now, but that could all change by the time we get to the weekend. But again, the forecast is basically warm and dry. And your schedule for this one is once again an evening one here in the UK. And just a reminder to those of you in the UK, the clocks go back 1 hour in the early hours of Sunday morning. That's a reminder for me just as much as it is you. It's also not a sprint weekend, so it's back to the normal format. So, FP1 gets the weekend started on Friday at 7:30 p.m. BST, and FP2 takes place later that same evening at 11 p.m. Saturday's action starts with the third and final practice session at 6:30 p.m. with qualifying underway from 10 p.m. And it is lights out for the race on Sunday at 8 p.m. and once again that is in UK time. Now, before I make my probably awful predictions, let's have a look at 3 stories or talking points I think are well worth a mention ahead of the weekend. To kick things off, and in case you missed it since Sunday, both Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc were eventually disqualified from the US Grand Prix as we expected, after the planks on their cars were found not to be in compliance with the rules. The FIA steward's decision, by the way, saying about both cars, the rear skid area in the area defined in the technical delegates report was outside of the thresholds outlined in Article 3.5.9e of the technical regulations, which includes a tolerance for wear. Therefore, the standard penalty for a breach of the technical regulations is imposed. Simply put, there was too much wear on the plank, and if you break that rule, it is a slam dunk disqualification, something both teams accepted. That decision, though, meant Hamilton lost his P2 finish and Leclerc his P6 finish. And speaking after the decision was taken, Toto Wolff explained that setup choices on a sprint weekend are always a challenge due to the lack of practice time, even more so at a bumpy circuit like COTA and when running an upgraded package. He went on to say that, and I will read the full quotes here, so quote, "In the end, all of that doesn't matter. Others got it right where we got it wrong, and there's no wiggle room in the rules. We need to take it on the chin, do the learning, and come back stronger next weekend." The Mercedes boss was still keen to take the positives from the weekend, though, saying the upgrade seems to have put the car in a happier place when it comes to fast, sweeping corners. Yeah, I know for most of you that will be old news by this point, but I still wanted to mention it for those who may have missed it, but also because I wasn't able to cover the decisions in Sunday's race reaction, almost like a follow-up if you like. Elsewhere, Christian Horner has denied that Sergio Perez's 2024 seat is dependent on him finishing second in the drivers' standings. Despite the constant denials from Red Bull, rumours continue to swirl that he could be dropped at the end of this year, probably because there's nothing else to talk about and people need to get their clicks somehow. Although, in fairness, given his poor form, it's not much of a stretch to suggest he's under a lot of pressure. But anyway, Horner has dismissed that and insists Checo will remain alongside Max Verstappen next season. Specifically on the talk of his future being dependent on a P2 championship finish, the Red Bull boss told Autosport there is no pre-mandate like that, and although it would be nice to finish first and second in the championship for the first time, the team is instead more focused on trying to get Perez back to the form he was showing at the start of the season. And finally, for this part at least, there are a few driver changes for FP1 on Friday as teams try to meet the requirement to run a rookie on 2 occasions during the season. So Frederic Vesti will be driving George Russell's Mercedes for the first practice session in Mexico, with Jack Doohan hopping into Pierre Gasly's Alpine. Ollie Behrman will be driving a Haas, although as I sit and record this, I haven't seen any official confirmation about who he will be replacing, but he will be out there. And AlphaTauri has confirmed that Isaac Hadjar will be driving Yuki Tsunoda's car during the Friday morning session. Now, there are some people talking online about other drivers possibly getting a chance, so keep an eye out for more announcements. But at time of recording, that is the official confirmed list. Right then, time for me to make some predictions. And as always, please do not take these too seriously. They're just a little bit of fun. But if you do disagree with my picks, then you can let me know yours in the comment section down below. And last weekend, not too bad actually, for me at least. I was right on Verstappen for P1 in the shootout and the sprint, and although they were in different positions, I was correct on Verstappen and Norris inside the top 3. So that's half a point for each of those. Look, it's something. This week, I'm actually going to start by telling you what I want to happen and then get to what I'm predicting will happen. You can probably see where this is going, but what I want to happen is for Sergio Perez to take pole position and the win and send Mexico absolutely wild. It would be such a phenomenal boost for him. And let's face it, the scenes for last year's third place were absolutely incredible. Could you imagine what they'd be like if he won? I am totally here for that. However, as much as I'd love to see that happen, like the guy and defend him probably way too much, I just don't see it happening. If we're being honest, he's not given any real indication for a while now that he's about to hit a top run of form. And even with the team as favourites again, it's far more likely the other side of the garage will be celebrating on Sunday. Sure, there might be some of you thinking something along the lines of maybe Max Verstappen will let him have this one. But even if he did, and it's a big if, Checo would still need to be close enough to allow that to happen. And, well, like I say, there's not been any sign of that happening for a while. So it will come as no great surprise to hear that I'm going for a Verstappen win on Sunday. But to make it somewhat interesting, I'll go with the Lando Norris pole on Saturday. As I said last week, he's been close for a while now, and maybe this one will be the one. As for the rest of the race positions, I'll go with Norris P2 again. And I really want to put Perez on that final step of the podium, but I reckon Mercedes could be quite strong this weekend. So I'm also tempted to put Lewis Hamilton there. It's a tough one, but do you know what? Screw it. I'll go with Checo for P3 and hope the home crowd can G him up a little bit. But I'll make it clear again that there's a very good chance it could be a Merc or possibly the other McLaren of Oscar Piastri in P3. Checo is a completely sentimental pick. I am not going to lie to you all. And you know, if a few of you don't like that, then one, tough, it's my video, I'll pick who the hell I like to pick. And two, as I've already said, you can let me know yours in the comments down below. Anyway, top of the midfield, I seem to alternate between Alpine and Williams at the moment. It is unintentional, but it's sort of what's been happening lately. And guess what? It's happened again this week. I'm going with Williams as top of the midfield. I think their car could go well here. And I'm hoping that point last weekend, however it came about, gave Logan Sargent a big boost as well. I'm not suggesting more points for him, not at all. But another clean weekend where he's closer to his teammate would be nice to see. I could see Albon in the top 10 come Sunday though. And why not? Let's end on one sort of bold prediction. I'll say Daniel Ricciardo gets his first points of his very short season come the checkered flag on Sunday. Especially if he drives like he did last year in Mexico, minus obviously the contact with Yuki Tsunoda. That could be interesting now they're teammates. Anyway, that is it for the Mexico City Grand Prix preview. But don't forget you can let me know your thoughts and your predictions ahead of the weekend in the comments section down below. Now, I will be back with some more content soon, including the usual live race reaction on Sunday. And once again, there won't be a qualifying waffle this week for the same reasons as last week. In the meantime, though, if you did enjoy this one, then please do leave a like as it really does help the channel out. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos or streams. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.